Love this cover, but it is disgusting.
I gave this book 1 star. I feel like I'm in Can Wonderland.
Very disturbed.
DNF, y'all.
This book is so frustrating. I can't look away. And I'm just so bored.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to my latest experiment video where I read thriller, mystery, and horror books from Asian authors who are just making their debut. I love getting to explore mystery, thriller, and horror and see the various ways that writers approach these genres, because some mysteries, of course, are really fast-paced. There's a lot of depth. There is a lot at stake, and others are more investigations and not really scary. And it's the same thing with horror. Horror can be slow and insidious, or it can be gore, action, etc. And thrillers I like to think of as a bridge between the two. Especially when we are talking about BIPOC authors, I have noticed that authors of color approach mystery, thriller, and horror as a genre way differently than white authors do. And that is a whole other video, which I have a discussion on that, and it is linked down below, so I won't get into it. But I have not focused my attention on the thriller, horror, and mystery books that Asian authors are putting out, and I decided to do that in this video. I'm going to be showing off the books that I read for this experiment. I read 4 books, and each of these books were selected because they are thriller, horror, and mysteries that are all vastly different from each other and have very different fear factor levels. I also made sure to read from authors who hail from different countries from each other so that we are getting a good variety of perspectives. The first book you'll see me read is Unwieldy Creatures by Addie Tsai. This is a queer Asian non-binary Frankenstein retelling. Next, I picked up Natural Beauty, which is a psychedelic literary horror. Then we have Our Best Intentions, which follows an Indian family who is caught in the middle of an investigation that tears the entire community apart. And finally, I read The Secret Talker, which is a story about a woman named Hong Mei who is married and starts getting messages from a stalker. Now, the main factors that I evaluated these books on were inventiveness, strength of writing, my enjoyment level of them, and whether or not I would read from this author again. Get your popcorn, get your tea, and get ready, because this is a ride. What is up, y'all? What's up, what's up, what's up? I am about to start Unwieldy Creatures by Addie Tsai, which is the enby book club pick for April. I'm very excited about this, and a bunch of my patrons said that they would like to see some reading vlogs for the non-binary book club picks, and I'm like, yeah, why do I never do them? So that is why I'm going to be vlogging this reading experience. I'm so geeked to be reading this Asian queer Frankenstein retelling from a upcoming author, and I'm just so geeked. I have 4 packages that I want to unbox. I've been doing my unboxings live on Instagram, but I miss getting to open packages with y'all in my vlogs. So let us open first this package by Sourcebooks. I said this on Instagram recently, but I've been loving what Sourcebooks is putting out. For about a year there, I was like, I don't know about this publisher, but for the last several years, they've really been stepping up their game, publishing a lot of BIPOC thrillers, a lot of queer narratives, just getting really dope. So let's see what they have sent me this time. So this, oh my god, I've been so excited about it. They reached out to me and I didn't know anything about this book.
I was like, I had to have it.
So this is called A Breath of Mischief, and this is by Marcy Kate Connolly, which I don't know why I love that name so much, but I do. And what a gorgeous cover. The author says, A Breath of Mischief is the story of Arya, a girl who was raised by the wind. She lives in a castle in the clouds, and her best friend is a griffling named Gwyn. Her life seems idyllic until one day the wind vanishes, and their castle settles onto the ground, and not so much as even a breeze rustles the tree. And so Arya and Gwyn set out to discover where the wind went and how to bring them back. So we have a non-binary, non-human protagonist, which I absolutely love. I absolutely love when we get to see representation of earthly elements as non-gendered and personified. So this book is everything that I know that my spirit is going to enjoy, and I want to take a peek at the bare cover. Oh, it's this really beautiful blue. Okay, so next up is a package from HarperCollins, and this is the book. The book is The Evergreen Air by A.K. Mulford, and it's book 4 of the 5 Crowns of Alcryth. So I don't have the first 3 books. This is a non-binary author, which we love to see, and this cover is precisely everything that I love. I absolutely love dark green covers. A court of revelry, a bookish air, an impending marriage, and a dark new power rising in the world. I'm already sold. Ember's spear would never leave the library if allowed.
Yo, same.
Reluctant to take the throne despite their mother's faltering health, the neurodivergent bookworm craves escape from their arranged marriage to charming... Oh, okay, we're getting into spoiler territory. Basically, non-binary air, growing affections, there's witches, there is all kinds of really cool shit. So I'm not going to read any further, and I'm going to beg them to send me the first 3 books because they're just torturing me by sending that one. And oh my god, I thought that was a spider. I almost jumped out of this window. So they sent another copy of Chasten's Beauty Geeks I Have Something to Tell You, which is a memoir for young adults. And I think maybe what they sent the first time is an arc. And then we've got one more package here. It's from Penguin Random House. I love me some Random House titles. Oh my god, yeah, we've been geeked about this. So this is the latest from Janelle Brown, and it's I'll Be You. Now, this is not an author who we've been jumping to read because, again, y'all know that we don't really do great with commercial thrillers all of the time. But we have a thing for sibling narratives, twin narratives. And so we are following gorgeous identical twins who become B-list child TV stars, and I love twins. I love television, movies brought into books. One of them never recovered from her failed Hollywood career or from her addiction to pills and booze that have propped her up for the last 15 years, while the other reinvented herself as a homemaker. And so they haven't spoken for many, many years. Then their father calls out of the blue, and she's shocked to learn that her twin's life has been in turmoil. Her twin checked into a mysterious spot in Ojai and isn't answering her phone. Is she decompressing or just in trouble? We are going to begin reading Unwieldy Creatures by Addie Side. Good morning friends. It is 10:53. We are in our next day. I did a clay mask last night and my skin is back to the way that I like it to look. So I'm gonna show y'all what my skin looks like today. Not bad, right? Not bad. So because I have no life and I didn't have anything to do last night, I just read. I binge read Unwieldy Creatures, and this book is so much better than I was expecting it to be, which says a lot because I was expecting great things. I had very high expectations for this book, and I have, I think, like 50 pages left, and so much has happened. So fucking much has happened.
No, I have over 50 pages. I'm being dramatic.
I love this book. I love this book. These are characters that are really gonna challenge you. For example, Z, who is Frankenstein's creator, I don't wanna call her a piece of garbage because I get why. Everything that she has done, you see explanations for, you understand why, you understand her in her entirety, but it does not change the fact that this person has done awful things to other queer people. There are a lot of content warnings for this book. A lot of content warnings. We were not expecting it to be so heavy. It is heavier than an elephant. So content warnings for outing, abuse, partner, child, and spouse, abandonment, anti-Asian racism, colorism, child murder, sexual violence, and toxic masculinity. It's really fucked up. Ezra, Z's brother, I want to fight him so bad. That man, but even him, like, you understand why he is such a deplorable human being, and his whole character is kind of an example of how society creates men who have no respect for boundaries. And this is because of the toxic masculinity that Ezra was forced into, and the way that his own, like, boy preciousness was taken from him by his father, who just wanted him to be obedient and not to play with scarves and not to like colorful things. And so you understand why he is the way that he is as an adult, but it's just constant grief. There's so much that I want to say about this book, like so freaking much, y'all. The exploration of queerness and transness as it intersects with Asian identities is phenomenal. It's just so well done. All of the dynamics between the different parents in the book that have reared these children. For example, the mother of Z, who created Frankenstein, who is white, and she abandoned Z pretty early on in her childhood because she realized that she was not fit to be a mother, but also there is this very obvious component of her not having any cultural awareness of the culture that she married into. So much disdain for the culture that her child is of. And you have these Chinese biracial protagonists struggling with what their whiteness means and how they can relate and can't relate to it. There's commentary about fleeing loved ones before they flee you, and I liked that that was kind of the inversion of the you come out and then you get kicked out of your home, because one of the protagonists chooses to run away from her home rather than come out to her father because she has no idea of how he is going to react, and she wants to be in control of how she exits that home. It's amazing. And then there was introduction of this gender neutral pronoun that I didn't know about. It is called dia, and that is the pronoun that Frankenstein's monster uses in the book. And I just love all of these amazing quotes about gender. It's just so freaking amazing. Together we found a suitable singular pronoun that wasn't gendered, one that came from my grandmother's birthland of Indonesia, dia. I liked the sound of it. I thought if I were ever to be in a situation in which a pronoun would need to be used for me, if I ever became part of the world, this would be the pronoun I would use. It felt perfect given my dual-gendered self, my thinginess. As I was reading about your kalalai, I came across the word bisu, which technically translates to transvestite priest, but has evolved over the modern age in South Sulawesi to describe someone intersex or even metagender. When Pine and I read about bisu, we both looked at each other at the same time and we knew this was me. I rolled the word around on my tongue, smiling, feeling squishy and soft in my body as I uttered it. And so I tell you now that my name is Ash, and I am a bisu, and I hope you can understand why, in all future cases, both within my company and beyond it, I want to be referred to by the pronoun dia. It's beautiful, and we could just sit here reading quote after quote about transness and just, but we're not going to. We just want you guys, like, I just want you to read the book. Just read the fucking book.
Just read the book.
The majority of the book thus far has been the perspectives of Z and Plum, who are, you know, the creator and the intern at the embryology lab. But now we are getting perspectives from Ash, and Dia is the creation that Z made. And Dia's perspective is so interesting, the way that Dia has been finding shelter in the woods after Dia was abandoned, and what Dia has been up to, and Dia's plans for revenge. And Dia finally has confronted Dr. Frank after 16 years since Dia's abandonment and makes this request. And those of you who know the Frankenstein story will likely be able to guess what Dia has requested. So I am so deeply excited to see how the ending of the book wraps up, because anything could happen. Absolutely anything could happen. Lasagna has been cooling, so thinking that we're gonna have a Schitt's Creek moment and finish the last of Mama's lasagna. She made eggplant ground beef lasagna and it was so good. Then I'm gonna keep reading. I don't even know what to do with myself now that I finished this book. The ending was so precious, and I can tell y'all right now that so many of you are not gonna like the ending, but given everything that happened in the novel, I think that the ending was exactly what was needed. I think it was how it should have ended, and I know a lot of you are going to hate that there is a certain lack of resolution surrounding a certain thing. And that's not a spoiler because there's so many elements at play in this book, but I personally want to say that that was so strategically done, and I think that that was critical. But I'm gonna talk more about it during the Enby Book Club live show. That's where we're gonna get into all the tea and the spoilers. If this video releases after that live show, then it will be linked down below. 5 out of 5 stars. She did that. The author knew what they were doing. He is Precisely. We had a little bit of an outfit change moment. This is what we are rocking. Now I have to find another book to read. In this economy, there have been so many red flags. On every single page, I'm just like, girl, run! I have started Natural Beauty. One of my most highly anticipated releases. As y'all may know, this is a book about a very talented classical pianist. She's the daughter of two parents who fled China during the Cultural Revolution, and they are struggling to make ends meet in America. And when they suffer a tragedy, she becomes responsible for caring for them, so she drops out of her piano classical musical world, in which she is very famous, and takes a job at this creepy ass store called Holistic, where people come from all over the world to buy their beauty products. And the second she gets there, weird shit starts happening to her. Everybody else is white but her. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is everybody wears these magnetic bracelets that automatically track their stats. They are kind of forced to undergo the spa treatments in order to test them out and to balance their energy. So they are literally forced to be using these high-end beauty products, a lot of which are appropriated from other cultures. There's a lot of Korean products, a lot of Chinese products, a lot of Japanese products. And there's just a lot of commentary in this book about the beauty industry and the racism in the classical musical world. I don't know what the word is, but that's not the point. The point is, I was trying to wait to page 100 before updating. I got to page, was it 68? Before I realized that that dream was to be deferred. Yeah, I got to page 68 and I was just like, something so absurd happened and so unacceptable that I had to read the scene several times over, because I was like, wait, did that actually just happen? And it was just, so there's a sexual assault moment, but it's so casually violent. It's so quick that you don't notice it right away. Like your brain doesn't process what's happening. And then I had to read it a few times and I was like, what the hell? And it's a part, and I can't, it's just, this book is a trip. It is very surreal and you're just constantly freaking terrified for the main character, but it is so good. I got to page 86 in what feels like under an hour. I'm already flying through it and I love how trippy the opening page is. Can you see this? I am not even high and I stared at this for a while, I'm not gonna lie. So let me see what little notes I have concocted here, just make sure I'm not missing anything, and then we're gonna do a little unboxing. It is fast-paced, so it just jumps right into the narrative, and you're following her and her parents before their parents' accident, and then you're following her now in the present, and both perspectives are so fascinating. What I'm really loving though is that especially the back then perspective, it has the rawness and candor of a memoir. This book feels very semi-autobiographical. Now, I know nothing about the author and I'm not saying that it is, but the author is also a violinist, and so this is very much her field, her realm, and that is coming out so well within the text. The appropriation of BIPOC beauty secrets and spirituality and how they are commodified by the beauty industry is on point, especially by white leaders in the beauty industry. And there's a couple things about this, the place, which is called Holistic, that really stood out to me. One is that she's definitely a diversity hire. She's the only Asian woman, and it was just very clear. I don't know if it's clear to her yet, but it's very clear to the reader that that is why she is there. But even so, you kind of assume that the white female owner of the company is like, of the store, is the one in power. But then you find out that Victor, who is the one who actually owns the company, he is this like self-made 30 under 30 Forbes multi-millionaire, that he owns the company, but he intentionally puts a female face out front so that it looks good. You know what we mean? Like that fake woke shit that I cannot stand, that performative activism, that sort of thing, that performative allyship rather. So that dynamic was like, it's very, very subtle, but it's important, and just the way she's even used within the store, how there is, for example, she's expected to clear out the homeless folk who congregate in front of the store overnight in the morning. Of course, that task is assigned to the only woman of color working there. Just little subtle things like that, and I'm genuinely scared for this girl and what's about to happen to her. And this gets sapphic. I know that she becomes very, like, I don't want to say obsessed, but she starts some kind of toxic, hazy relationship with another woman, a white woman who also works at the store, and I think we've just met her, and I'm very, very excited to see where that goes. I basically talked about everything that I want to. I'm gonna try so hard to not update a million times, but I'm just gonna update as the book calls for it. I've got some packages, and it looks like they're all from Penguin Random House, so let's get started. This is for a book that released on April 11th, 2023, according to the sticker on the cover. Oh wow, that is super gross. I hate that for me. Love this cover, but it is disgusting. I can't look away. Ew. Okay, so this is the cover. It is for Chrysalis by Anna Metcalf, and I don't know if y'all can tell, but the grass kind of goes through the sea here.
Wow, we love an artist.
The chrysalis, which is super yucky, in case y'all can't tell, there's a form, a human form inside of it, all slick and insect covered and shit, but the earth sign in me is thriving. So I vaguely remember this book. It's an imaginative debut that follows a woman trying to slip the shackles of society by controlling her body and mind in extreme ways. That sounds amazing. What happens when a woman dares to take up space? Blah, 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 blah. We see her through the eyes of three people, each differently mesmerized by her as they reckon with the consequences of her bizarre metamorphosis. And then it talks about the people, the perspectives of those people. Uncanny, alluring, and intimate. It raises vital questions about selfhood and solitude. This daring novel asks if it is possible for a woman to have agency over her body while still remaining part of society, and then it offers its own explosive answer. This is something that I've actually been contemplating a lot the whole time that I read Acts of Desperation, which I just finished today. I'm reading that for this secret video that I'm doing where I read 7 books about obsession that explore obsessive behavior. And that book really got me thinking about agency and power and womanhood and self-reclamation and things like that. So this book could not have arrived any sooner, and I'm very, 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 very excited to read it. And I just love really ambitious debut books by authors. I mean, by women and queer authors, women, queer, and trans authors in particular. They've also been slaying lately. So this is another title that releases April 18th, which has not yet come to pass. And oh my god, they sent the newest release from Han Kang. I'm so excited. So she wrote The Vegetarian, which I loved. Not gonna lie, didn't understand a single bit of it, but this is her latest book. They reached out, asked if I wanted it, and I was like, funk yeah, I do. So this is called Greek Lessons, and the cover, Han Kang is just so amazing at writing surreal, complicated books that my brain is too small to wrap its head around. Not a disquieting journey about the loss of sense and a return to the sensorium of touch and intimacy that soars with sensuous and revelatory insight. What the fuck does that mean? And that's from Kathy Park Hong, who wrote Minor Feelings. Ooh, Angie Kim, who wrote Miracle Creek, which did not get enough love on BookTube, blurbed this as well. And okay, so I don't remember what this is about. It's set in a classroom in Seoul. A young woman watches her Greek language teacher at the blackboard, tries to speak but has lost her voice. And the teacher finds her teacher finds himself drawn to the silent woman, while day by day he is losing his sight. Soon the two discover that a deeper pain binds them together. For her, in the space of just a few months, she lost both her mother and the custody battle for her 9-year-old son. And for him, it's the pain of growing up between Korea and Germany, being torn between 2 cultures and language, and the fear of losing his independence. It tells the story of 2 ordinary people brought together at a moment of private anguish, the fading light of a man losing his vision, meeting the silence of a woman who has lost her language. These broody ass literary books, like 2023 is the time for broody writer, moody reader. That's the vibe. That is the flavor of the year. I asked my Patreon Discord for movie recommendations, and one of them recommended this 1953 Japanese film about this really sweet elder married couple who goes to visit their children and their grandchildren in Tokyo, and the kids like don't have enough time for them. And it just was so, the vibes, the atmosphere, the beautiful filming, it just, I'm in a very artsy fartsy, slow, surreal, quiet, pensive headspace. I want to consume all of the BIPOC arts. I want to consume all of the heady, self-interrogative texts. I'm vibing. These books are 100% the vibes that I am trying to grasp. So I haven't started this yet, but this is the next book that I'm reading for my session vlog video, which is still being filmed at the time of filming this clip. Disgraced actress who flees to LA and then joins a cult. This one comes out on April 25th, so we're just creeping on up there. I can't believe it's gonna be May. All right, this one's a thinny. We love it. I Am My Country and Other Stories by Kenan Orhan. This is another gorgeous cover. This is beautiful. Oh, we love to see it. We love to see it. Now, this is a fiercely imaginative debut story collection that explores the lives of ordinary people in Turkey to reveal how even individual acts of resistance have extraordinary repercussions. And this spans decades and landscapes from the forests along the Black Sea to the streets of Istanbul. Kenan Orhan's playful stories conjure dreamlike worlds of talking animals, flying houses, and omniscient prayer callers to examine humanity's unfaltering pursuit of hope, even in the darkest of circumstances. Oh, like all of these books and the font. Wow, the font is gorgeous. I am so grateful to Penguin for consistently sending such amazing books. Okay, so I have decided to pause on page 120 of Natural Beauty. There was just a plot twist, and I wish I could say something about it. This book is really giving everything that the other Black girl failed to give. So I think what I'm gonna do is edit some footage. I have started watching this TV show on Apple TV called Surface about this Black woman who is trying to recover her memory after she survives a suicide attempt, and as she returns to her idyllic life, she learns that her suicide attempt might not have been what her husband and all her friends and her therapist say it was. This book is an acid trip. I feel like I'm in Can Wonderland. I just wanted to give my update on the floor. No! Stop tasting me. Get out of there. Okay, so honestly, the weight of this story is too intense. I have to be on my back. This book makes me feel like I'm high. I mean, I am high, but it makes me feel like I'm high. Y'all know what I'm saying? Can I help you? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to go camina? You want to camina? You're not hungry, are you? Are you hungry? Hi. Are you a good girl? Is it your tail? You're sexy. Yeah, you're a little vixen. Oh yes, who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? Come back. Don't leave like my dad. Oh, she's bringing a toy. Oh no. Get it off me. Ew. Woof, David. Now your hair is all over my freaking face. I'm sitting on my mom's bed, right? And I'm just reading to her bits from the story because I can't believe them. And she's like, what the hell are y'all reading? White women are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this special treatment where they release mites, insects, onto your scalp, and the insects clean your scalp
and then you don't have to wash your hair. And I'm like, all of this to get out of soap. All of this to get out of washing your bodies. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There's this treatment where they take these genetically modified spiders that have been modified so that their fur is 3 times thicker than normal. And they dip the fur of the spider leg fur into the web of the spider and use them as eyelash extensions. Spider eyes, that's what I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna be like, hey, yo, what up, Charlotte? It's giving absolutely the fuck not. It could never be me. You couldn't pay me. Spiders on your eye. And that's not why the story is getting trippy. To say that I was scared for this woman before and with the body horror. I can't be coherent about this book. I don't even have that much left. I really do not have that much left of the book. Let's see how much to go. And Monty tried to warn me. He was like, that book is wild. It's wild. And I am inclined to believe him. We are currently on page 191 and there is 250 pages. So I've got like 60 pages to go. I'm gonna blow through them and then I'm gonna holla back at you because I'm very disturbed by everything that I've read, by the secrets she has uncovered, by what she is witnessing, the horrors, what's happening to her, what's happening to her family. Like, this just turned into a whole ass literary horror novel. What is going on in this book? What the fuck did I just read? That was so weird and surreal and sad and disturbing and horrific and perfect. And that, as of right now, is my second favorite book of the year. So far, my first favorite book of the year is No Gods, No Monsters by Cadwell Turnbull. The second favorite book is now Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang. And the third book is probably Unwieldy Creatures by Addie Sai. Holy shit, that was so fucking good. Now I'm going to go in with Our Best Intentions by Vibhuti Jain. This was one of my most highly anticipated releases, and it's got a thriller, social commentary, Asian family oriented focus. A pulsating debut, not pulsating, about an immigrant family caught in the middle of a criminal investigation. So continuing along with this line of Asian thriller and horror books that just came out. So we are following Bobby Singh, who is a single parent and the owner of a fledgling rideshare business, who is climbing the American ladder of success, remaining hopeful about it, which was very similar to the last book. He lives in an affluent suburb of New York with his daughter Angie, who is an introverted teenager who's only comfortable when she is swimming. Again, very similar to our last protagonist, who is very comfortable only when playing piano. And so during the break, she finds Henry, a white classmate from a wealthy, prominent family, stabbed to death on the football field. Stabbed and bleeding. The police focus their investigation on a runaway black girl, Chiara Tompkins, who disappears after the stabbing and later is discovered wasn't properly enrolled at the public high school. So we all know how she's going to be treated as a result of that. And it sends shockwaves through the community and releases a lot of jarring truths about the lengths to which families will go to protect themselves. The town fractures and Angie has to navigate these conflicting narratives and wrestle with her own moral culpability. Alternating between multiple perspectives, Our Best Intentions is a suspenseful drama about a father and daughter re-examining their familial bonds and place in the community. Very, very excited about this. It is a provocative debut that explores how easily friendships, careers, communities, and individual lives can unravel when the toxicity of privilege and racial bias is exposed. That sounds amazing. I've heard really good things about this text and I'm so excited. As of right now, I have to run to T-Mobile because I think my phone was stolen. I have no idea how it was stolen. I think maybe it fell out of my bag when I was walking Akasha, but Find My Phone says it's in another city, and I'm just, so I'm gonna go to T-Mobile and see what can be done about that. I just bought that phone, so fingers crossed. I don't even remember if I have protection on it, but this is the author. She is stunning. Look at that stunning, beautiful woman. Akasha and I have had a really great day. We went grocery shopping to pick up some things for Mama. I took a little trip with her to the pet food store, got her some dulces and some dog food. Oh my God, I have to feed her. She hasn't eaten today. Okay, so I'm gonna feed her before we head out, and we roller skated around the park. We did a mile and a half. It's just been a really beautiful, warm day. I finished an amazing 5-star read, Natural Beauty, obviously, and have been drinking iced coffee like it provides actual nutrients. Without further delay, I am just gonna head out to the store. Bye. DNF, y'all. This book, Our Best Intentions, was this close to a DNF. I was so bored. Yo, I was like, okay, if by page 100, 150 at the very most, I still want a DNF, I'm a DNF. Because normally my DNF policy is 50 pages or 100 if I'm really trying hard with the book. I decided maybe to 150 because it was such a highly anticipated release for myself. And I'm really glad that I stuck with it, because on page 86, it got good. That's when I became invested in the characters. And I was going to DNF because there are so many perspectives and I didn't give a shit about any of them. So I'm like, okay, if I don't care about any of these perspectives, then you know what I mean? What's the point of reading the book? Especially when I have so many highly anticipated books on my shelves. Because of that, I decided to press through, and it got so fucking good. It got so good. But I'm enraged, and again, any book that makes me have intense attitudes, I've said this before, I'll say it again, is worth reading for me. Unless it's like harming me personally, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just getting so mad because we're at the part of the story where the stabbing happens, and one of the main characters, who is Indian, witnesses the stabbing. Doesn't witness the stabbing, but she shows up just when the guy's on the floor and she sees a figure running away. And so she's in the office, this young Indian girl who is not popular, you know, per se in the town, and the police are grilling her. It is very clear early on that the police are intending to blame this black student who was nearby for the crime, and so they're leading her, literally leading her with their questions to the conclusion that Kiera was responsible for the stabbing. And it's just really upsetting to see how quickly black girls, black folks, black boys, black men and women are quickly pinned for crimes. And they just found out that she wasn't like specifically enrolled in the school, and we're hearing different perspectives speak about this young black girl when there's no evidence that she actually stabbed him. And it's just so enraging because it is written so well that it causes me to remember so many instances where I was targeted, especially as a young teenager, and it's really hard to like re-experience that. You're so frustrated for Kiara and the various ways that people justify, that white people, and not just white people, but other people of color justify making assumptions about young black people. And it's so upsetting getting to read from their perspectives, but it's good because you see the logic there. And I just really love it when authors write from the perspective of characters that are problematic in a way that shows how damn problematic they are. Like there's something very gratifying for me about that. Akasha's right there and I just can't help but pet her because
She's a good girl.
But that is getting good. And then the relationship between Anjali, who changed her name to Angela. Anjali is the young Indian girl who sees the shooting.
Or who sees the shooting, what is happening?
Who shows up right after the student is stabbed. Between her and her father, the relationship is really interesting because her mom abandoned them both when she was like 6 years old. I love single parent representation, especially if it's a single father, and seeing the fallout of that, how it has shaped their relationship. And you get a lot of empathy for Babar, who is the father, and getting like his character's perspective of what happened, and you both sympathize with him and kind of hate him a little bit because it is not a spoiler, but the mom left because of severe mental illness. And you can see the ways like, and he firmly believes that the mental illness was farcical, that there's no such thing as mental illness, that she should have just bucked up and worked through it and stopped making excuses for her being sad. Like he kind of sees
it as all medically not valid. And that's really frustrating perspective into her like being driven away. But on the other side, you empathize with him for his situation and his struggles trying to raise a young girl by himself. But then you get frustrated with the girl, Angela, the daughter, because she treats her dad like shit. Like, it's so frustrating, especially as somebody who was raised very obedient, and respecting my elders is very, very important to me. So all around, these characters just feel so well written, so realistic. Even in some of Angela's cruelty toward her father, it's like, yeah, she's a kid. And so I feel like, I'm not saying all teenagers are mean and disrespectful to their parents, but some are. And it just, again, makes her more real, the character. So I'm invested. It's just
really good.
It's really good. So I'm gonna continue reading. I'm actually doing reading sprints right now with my patrons. Hi. So I'm in the middle of bonus reading sprints for my heart patrons, because as the like top tier level, they are entitled to extra, you know, sprints. Sorry, I'm gonna fix this. I just like messed up my camera. All right, there we go. I am straight, except I'm very much not. I got my hair touched up, and in about 40 minutes, I have the March enby book club live show for our March book, which was The Faithless by C.L. Clarke, whom I interviewed last week. So really, really excited about all of that. And yeah, I might brew some coffee or just get that set up for the live, because coffee was for breakfast. I've just been on a coffee kick lately, and I need to be careful to make sure I don't get addicted to it. Okay, battery's dying. I think that's good for this update, and I'll see y'all shortly.
His best friend definitely stabbed him. He just woke up from surgery, whatever, and he's being so sketchy, telling Angie, just tell the cops you didn't see anything, stay out of it, blah, blah, blah. And so I think his best friend stabbed him, and he doesn't want his best friend to get in trouble or go to jail. So he's trying to blame it on the black girl. And the things he's saying about the black girl are racist as fuck. That's my theory. And this is a spoiler-free vlog, so I'm not gonna tell you what happens, whether I'm right or wrong, but he lying, like he's a dirty ass liar. This book is so fucking triggering. I hate these racist ass white people. So mad, y'all. Cuties, oh my god. I have never been so glad that I did not DNF a book, because I am obsessed with Our Best Intentions. It has gotten really, 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 really good. It was slow start, but worth the wait. Of course, Akasha chose now to start loudly drinking water, like she always does. So right now I'm on page 24 of Our Best Intentions, which translates to page... Did you just start drinking more loudly? Which translates to page 279. There is about like 350 pages, 340 pages. So there's a lot that has to wrap up in the next 60 pages. I'm very, very excited, but it's just amazing. And I'm also very lazily watching this show called Surface. I'm on episode 2. I just got an Apple TV subscription because I got my mom a new iPhone. She got an iPhone 14. It's our first ever Apple product, and it came with 3 months of Apple TV. So I can finally keep watching Servant, which was this really weird show starring Rupert Grint, who I love, about this chef. And you know, my mom is a retired chef. Basically, this chef and his wife get a nanny for their child, but when the nanny shows up, the child's a doll. And it's really good. It's really weird. There's a lot of like religious horror. It's so amazing. Really good food shots and all that fun stuff. Now Akasha is sitting down to chew on my travel pillow. That is not a toy. What are you doing? Oh, now you're gonna lay on it? You weren't trying to eat it just now? Do you think you're sneaky? Who's a good girl? Yes, you are. You're a good girl. I can't be mad at you. No, I can't. Good girl. I'm devastated. This book is so frustrating and so fucking sad. I did not anticipate that I would be giving that book 5 out of 5 stars. The ending was infuriating and beautiful, and it's going to really upset a lot of readers. Like, I know a lot of people are going to be rating the ending down a star, but even though I'm frustrated at how the ending makes me feel in my body, I think it was beautifully done, and I completely understand the genius of it all. It's so good. I'm loving this vlog so far. So now it's time to figure out what my next book is gonna be. Hello, what's up, cuties? It is the next day. The next book that I'm going to be reading for the purposes of this vlog is The Secret Talker. This was like top 10 most anticipated releases for me 2 years ago, and I never got to it. This is a book that there really wasn't a whole lot of buzz around, but the premise just sounded amazing to me. It's about this woman whose name is Hong Mei, and she marries a white foreigner and moves with him to America. I believe that that's where they are located now. And she's bored as hell in her marriage. And then there's this secret admirer who gets her email address like it's 1999 and starts emailing her. And so they start emailing back and forth, and he's talking to her about how much he stalks her and all this shit. And that's basically what the book is about. And then it becomes her trying to stalk her stalker, and it gets intense from there. Since it's so short, I don't want to know too much about it going in. But I started this last night, and I got to page like around 31, 34, that kind of thing. What the fuck is wrong with this woman? It just couldn't be me. I don't care how bored I am in my personal life. There is no, yeah, I saw you from across the library, I watched you walk in, oh, you should have picked up this book instead of the one you brought home, that book sucks. And she's like, oh yes, like taking his suggestions and curious about him. I wonder who he is. He's a stalker, bitch, run. Like, why are you curious about this motherfucker? It just couldn't be me personally. So already my connection with this character is in hell. It's level 0. And I just had to take a break from the book because I was like, what the fuck is going on? I need to Google and see if this was something that actually happened or if it is a story that the author created. Basically, there's this story that she tells about her village where in Nanjing, when the Japanese soldiers came to kidnap the women and the children, all of the women and children hid in these hay bales. So the men in the village, the men and the boys were like, hide in these hay bales so that the soldiers can't take you away. The soldiers realize that the girls and the women are in the bales of hay and set all of them on fire. And so every single girl and woman burns to death in this village in these bales of hay, but like they refuse to leave. So they just burned silently because they were like, yeah, this fate is better than what's waiting if I get out of this hay bale. And she kind of analyzed that from her own cultural lens, and it was really, really hard to read. But that's where we are with this book, and I'm going to let you know when I have more to say. I'm on page 83 of Secret Talker, and I am so bored. If this was not the last book of the vlog, I would DNF it. I would DNF it so hard and so aggressively. But it is such a slim thriller, and so I just want to push through and be done with it and put the past behind me, because I have no doubt in my mind that it is not going to get better. There is no plot twist that is going to possibly make finishing this book worth it. But I have been surprised before. I hope to be surprised again. The connection that we have to these characters is in hell. It's in level 0, which would not be a problem if I found
even a single one of them interesting.
There are some aspects about them that I appreciate. Hong Mei, who is our protagonist,
Who is that?
Hong Mei, who is our protagonist, has revealed herself to struggle with monogamy. That kind of makes sense as to why she is entertaining this secret talker, which is essentially a secret admirer. Because I found that utterly perplexing, as y'all will remember from earlier on when I started reading this book. I just don't understand these characters at all. Hong Mei, who is enthralled by the fact that she has this secret admirer, enlists her friend, who is, she's essentially a sugar baby. She loves men spoiling her.
And we love that for her.
Asks Dee Dee to email the secret admirer and send photos of herself. And the secret admirer then starts expressing interest in Dee Dee while also continuing to be interested
in Hongmei. And Hongmei knows that the secret talker is interested in her friend now, but doesn't seem threatened by that in any way. I find that very confusing. I don't understand that, and it hasn't been touched upon, which makes it even more confounding. So understanding what drives these characters, understanding their motivations is a bit confusing. One second Hongmei is ready to throw the secret talker away. She changed her email address at one point because she felt too tempted and too allured, and also felt creeped out. But then another second and she is really enjoying the attention. That fear seems to dissipate, and I just wish that that was unpacked more, because it makes sense. People maintain having multitudes inside of them, but in a book you want that to be explained or expounded upon if a person is flipping and flopping back and forth between two very different decisions. I want to know what's going on in her head and in her heart that is driving this. And I'm just so bored. I just don't care. And there's nothing even remotely thrilling about this novel, with the exception that someone is stalking her. And there's a chance that it's a woman, which I do find interesting, but I just have a feeling it's a man trying to throw her off to the fact that he's a man. I have no idea at this point. I'm 1% curious though, I'm not going to lie. I do have a package here that I wanted to unbox. I received this a few days ago and I have no idea what is inside. I've pre-opened it because it takes me forever to open packages on camera, but I have not peeked into the book. Ooh, I believe I already own these books. I think the publisher sent me these books already. These are books by Julie Kagawa. They are The Iron Raven and The Iron Sword. I know this is part of the Iron Face series, Even Fall, but I don't know. Okay, so this is book 2 and this is perhaps book 1. I honestly don't know what this is about, but Julie Kagawa is an author that I've heard amazing things on and want to explore at some point. I will update when I finish Secret Talker. Currently it is like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm not going to bed until I finish this book because I want to wake up done with it.
I knew I should have DNF'd. Reading The Secret Talker felt like I was being punished, and not in a fun BDSM way, but in a paying for all of my sins in hell kind of way. Greetings mortals, it is now time for us to wrap up this experiment. She wants nothing to do with me until I hit record on this camera. As mentioned at the start of this experiment, I am rating. At the beginning of this experiment, I am judging these books on a few factors mainly. Those things were inventiveness or creativity, writing strength, will I read from this author again, and my enjoyment level. And so I've decided to break this down from my most favorite book all the way to the least favorite book of the vlog. I also will be telling you which of these books is the scariest and has the best fear factor. Coming in at number 1 for this experiment, we have Natural Beauty, which I gave an overall rating of 5 out of 5 stars. The inventiveness was a 5, the writing strength was a 5, my enjoyment factor was a 5, and will I be reading from this author again? 100%. Next up, we have Unwieldy Creatures, which I gave a whopping 5 out of 5 stars to. The inventiveness of this book was a 4.5. The only reason that it wasn't a full 5 is because it is a retelling. So I knocked 0.5 of a star off because of that. The writing strength was a 5, enjoyment level was a 5. Will I be reading from this author again? 100%. Coming in at number 3, we have Our Best Intentions, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars to. The writing strength was a 3, the inventiveness was a 2, and my enjoyment of the book was a 4. And there is a 70% chance that I would consider picking up this author again. The worst book of the video, the book that I enjoyed the least, was The Secret Talker. I gave this book 1 star. The inventiveness was a 1, the writing strength was a 1, my enjoyment level was a 0, and there is a 0% chance that I will ever read from this author again. Now, out of all of these books, I can definitely say that Natural Beauty was the scariest, but as somebody who reads a lot of horror, I would not say that this is like a scary kind of horror. This is more insidious, psychedelic, body horror, uncomfortable.
kind of thing. And then next up, of course, we have Unwieldy Creatures. Our Best Intentions and The Secret Talker were really not at all scary, but the fear factor in Our Best Intentions was essentially the fear of racism, the fear of our lives. And I think that that is absolutely valid. I have a video linked down below. I plug it all the time. It is a video where I talk about why white authors do not get to define what's scary. Very often, white readers will review BIPOC mystery, thriller, and horror books and say that their contributions don't count in the genre because BIPOC authors don't always write mystery, thriller, and horror the way that white authors do. So definitely check out that video. That will be linked down below. But thank you so much for sticking into the end. If you stayed with me all of this way, why don't you leave a question mark emoji or just put a question mark in the comment section down below. I have not done that in quite a while. I would love to know what thriller, mystery, and horror books you have read from Asian authors recently, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.